Hey everybody, it's Kyle here. Welcome back to another video. This week's video is inspired by a recent conversation I had with an uncle. I don't bring this conversation up out of anger or spite. It actually was a pretty good conversation, and I just thought it was necessary to make a video for educational purposes for those who don't know. So, for those who don't know, I have a girlfriend who has cerebral palsy also. So my uncle asked if we had children, if there was a high chance of us having a child with cerebral palsy. So the answer is there is a chance because cerebral palsy is an accident at birth. It deprives the baby of oxygen, and that is how the brain damage is caused that leads to cerebral palsy. So there is no hereditary component. So there is no, say, 50% chance of a child who has parents with cerebral palsy being born with cerebral palsy. It is, again, just an accident that causes brain damage. He then proceeded to ask me, well, can they do like gene correcting? Because I know that's a thing. And I said, well, no, because the accident that causes cerebral palsy usually happens during birth or shortly thereafter, or I believe up until 5 years old they can classify it as cerebral palsy. So the answer is, again, no. He thanked me for educating him, and I was happy that I did. The reason I bring this up is because he's my uncle, and he's known me for almost 26 years. When it comes to family members, I used to think that education wasn't nearly as important because they were around me with cerebral palsy. They saw me every time we got together as a family, and they had my mom and dad to ask questions, and I just kind of naturally assumed. Again, I made an assumption, and I was wrong. And he did not know how cerebral palsy really worked. And I used to give family a pass, or because I just thought, naturally, as things would come up over the years, you would just know these things. But that's a bad assumption on my part. Family should not get a pass on how educated they are. Because it made me wonder, well, he's my uncle, how could he not? But, if you don't ask, you don't know. And I just naturally assumed that he asked these kinds of questions. But I shouldn't assume that people ask questions. And I shouldn't assume family would know. So that's a mistake I won't make again. And it made me wonder what other family members, don't know. It makes me curious to ask. Maybe I should make a video about asking them. But for advocates, I think it's natural to assume that someone who doesn't know you won't understand cerebral palsy. I think everyone assumes that if you're not surrounded by disability or know someone or have a personal connection, that they won't understand disability, which a lot of times is true. But now I see that the education needs to reach over to family members, even though he's known me for my entire life and he's been around me and seen me struggle and seen me through the good times. He didn't understand how cerebral palsy worked. And like I said, I was shocked that he just didn't know, because I thought just he would naturally soak it up. But you can't make those assumptions. But I was really glad that he asked so I could clear it up. So now he is better educated. And that's the thing. If he wouldn't have asked me the questions, I would just have assumed that he understood what cerebral palsy was. So I'd just be curious to know, does anyone else have family members who don't quite understand what cerebral palsy is? And did you assume that they did know before you found out? Or did they always just not know and you knew that they didn't know? Because I assumed through all the conversations about me with my mom and dad that, you know, things would just naturally spill out. But I was wrong. And it just made me see that I can't make assumptions even on who understands disability. Because family doesn't mean that you're knowledgeable. That just means they're family and they love you. But, so, like I said, this is a video not out of anger. I'm glad that he asked. I just wanted to pose the question, do you assume that your family understands your disability because they live with you and they know you? Or do you feel the need that you have to personally educate them? Because I thought that natural education would just happen, but it took him being direct and asking me a question, hey, would your children have cerebral palsy, for that conversation to happen. And I'm really thankful that it did, because now he understands cerebral palsy and me better. So thank you to my uncle for asking the question. I think it brought us closer in the end. And let me know what you think. You know, would your reaction have been anger? Mine wasn't. I mean, I was surprised, like I said, but I wasn't angry. I was actually kind of glad that he asked, because then it made me realize, well, hey, he didn't know. He asked the question, and that's the thing. I can't be mad for people asking questions. You know, I would rather people ask questions than make those assumptions. So I was relieved that we got that out of the way. But thanks for listening. Let me know if you've had any personal experiences with family members not quite understanding your disability, whether it be cerebral palsy, spina bifida, or any other type of disability. And did you have any awkward conversations for them to learn about it, or, you know, was it smooth sailing? Please let me know in the comments down below if you've liked what you've heard thus far. Please give me a like, share it with your friends, comment down below. And I post videos every Tuesday, so be sure to check back by clicking that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.